Hey, what's up everybody? This is Coach Matt Ellis from EliteThrowsCoaching.com. I hope you're all having a great day. We've got something new and exciting planned for the next couple of weeks here at this channel to help out all of the coaches out there and all of the throwers out there that are getting back to their season. But before we get started, I wanted to remind you to please click that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification icon to receive all of our videos when they come out. Like I said, it really helps out the channel, it helps get our name out there, and it helps us to get to as many coaches as possible to make sure that we are going to have a great track season this year. Now, we got some big things, like I said, that are planned over the next couple of weeks, and they all actually come from a comment on this YouTube channel. So what I need you guys to do is, if you want me to do something specific here on the channel, if you want me to cover something that you are having questions on or you are having issues with, please make sure to leave that comment down below, and that goes right into the queue to make sure that I get to your questions and answer it in a future video. And basically it says, this season in particular, I'm looking for advice on how to manage a shortened outdoor season with pretty much brand new throwers. My county is doing a short season starting in April with only 4 weeks for actual competition. So I have a very short window to teach both shot and discus from scratch for most throwers, since no one has competed since 2019 or ever. We're actually doing our indoor track season right now, and it ended up being a 7-week season. We had 1 week of basically nothing but practice, and then we started having our meets for the next 6 weeks after that. So this weekend is actually going to be our JV state championship and our last chance to qualify meets, and then next Saturday is going to be our state championship, and then pretty much we're done. So it was a 7-week season, 6 weeks of meets, and 1 week of basically just all practice. And this is happening in a lot of places in this post-COVID world that we live in, where the seasons are really, really short. They're not doing a lot of big invitationals. They're not doing a lot of, bigger championship level meets. They're not doing these big carnival type things. It's really small meets, and the season is really, really short. So the video today, we're going to be talking about what you need to do day one to get all of your shot putters on the same page, that first day of practice. Okay, so after reading that comment, it kind of hit me. What coaches are going to be going through this year is very similar to what I go through every single time I do one of my track camps. So I've been doing track camps around the country now for more than 9 years, and every single time I do a track camp, whether it's got 20, 40, 50, 100 people in it, I always have a group of glide shot putters. It is basically their first day back after a long layoff, usually a couple months because it's a summer camp. They've been off for a couple months, and the mix of athletes I have is all over the board. It's people that have never even held a shot in their hand before, people that have been doing it for a year or two. And then we've got people that are experts that are throwing 50 plus feet that need to get better. And there's one of me and there's 20 of them. How am I going to get everyone on the same page? How can I possibly get everybody going? And when I'm at a track camp like that, normally what happens is if it's an overnight camp, I typically have 4 2-hour sessions to get people from point A to Z, throwing PRs, throwing the best they possibly can. And I got basically 8 hours to do it. So that's about the first 5 days of practice, Monday through Friday. You might have about 8 to 10 hours to get these kids going. So that's what I'm going to explain to you today, is how to get this done. What do I do at camps? What do I do for these basically brand new kids? I don't even know what their names are the first day. I'm still trying to learn who they are. I don't know what experience they got. How do I get everybody on the same page? It sounds so similar to what coaches are going to be going through this year. So let me take you through it. Hopefully you guys can see this. There's a little bit of glare with the new lights here in the gym. It helps out the videos, but it makes it really tough to read a whiteboard. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to spend the first 30 minutes of the first day talking about how to hold the shot, how to put it in the hand, and how to make sure that the fingers are positioned correctly. These 4 exercises, the palm to basket, the basket shake with the thumb, and waiter's walks. It's what I do the first session every single camp I've ever done. Get them to make sure they're holding it in their hand correctly. Get them to make sure they've got all their fingers in the right place and that they've got their thumb in the right place. and then we're going to talk about getting it up against their neck and actually releasing it correctly. So after the first 30 minutes, the next hour or so of practice, you can do your release drills. So we're going to start with pushing and flicking into the ground, 20 to 30 push and flicks per thrower. Line drill balancing, 2 to 3 minutes on that one. The Frankenstein drill, 2 to 3 minutes on that one. The push and flick, this is when you're standing and you're pushing out instead of down to the ground. We're going to do 10 to 15 per thrower. The pull, push, and flick, where we start to incorporate that blocking arm, the non-throwing arm, 10 to 15 per thrower. And then the very bottom here, shift, pull, push, and flick, 10 to 15 per thrower. We're going to start to get the idea of attacking the toe board, pushing the body forward, along with using that non-throwing arm. So that's going to take you through about an hour and a half of practice the very first day. So let's go on and show you exactly what this is going to look like. So, as you can tell, I am 1000% not in a throwing circle right now because I want to show you all that you don't have to be in a throwing circle. In fact, you should not be in a throwing circle when you start taking your athletes through these exercises. Getting them in the circle is going to take too long if you do this one at a time. What you need is what I have here all over my gym. You need lines that are on the ground. Where do you find lines? You can do lines literally anywhere. You can be on a basketball court, on a tennis court. You can put tape down like I've done here. You can use the lines on the football field, the lines on the track, the lines in a parking lot. You can do this from absolutely anywhere. So you got to make sure your athletes have lines to stand on. All right. Once you're out in your area and you're separated, socially distanced, and all that other good stuff, you're going to have your athletes with the shots. Now, this is not a shot put. This is a little 1.5 kilogram little rehab ball that we use for discus drills and things like that. I'm just going to demonstrate using this today. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pretty much have a team meeting, explain to the athletes that they're not going to be doing any real throwing the first couple days because you're going to be taking them through and correcting a lot of how they hold it in their hand and how they release the actual shot. Now, your older athletes that have been with you for a couple of years, they're going to start moaning and groaning, but let me tell you, this is where I have found that the majority of corrections. We had somebody at our last throwing camp in the summer of 2019 that was throwing 55 feet, and at the end of that camp, he was throwing about 57 feet, and he said the biggest correction he learned the entire camp was how to hold the thing in his hand, because he wasn't holding it properly. He didn't have it positioned against his neck correctly, and he didn't have his fingers properly behind the ball. He was holding his fingers under the ball. So that correction alone, very first day, very first session, this kid who was already throwing 55 feet made that big of an improvement by how to hold something in his hand. So your older athletes have to realize this is necessary, and it's going to be a recap, and it's going to be probably kind of boring, but it is 100% necessary. So the first thing you're going to teach your athletes is how to hold the shot in their hand, how to position their fingers correctly, and how to hold this thing in their hand. And we do that with something called the basket drill. Now, I'll put a link up in the corner here if you want to see the original drill of how to hold a shot. But just to come up and show you, basically, you have two parts of your hand. You have got the basket, which is right here in the fingers, and you have got the palm. So sort of the calloused area right there. This calloused area is the basket right here, and then palm. Basket, palm, basket, palm. Let me show you from the other side so you can see my thumb is not being used. Basket, palm, basket, palm, basket, palm. And you can see here from the front, you've got all four fingers are actually underneath the shot. So that's the first one. The first one is going to be basket, palm. Teaching your athletes, okay, there's the palm and there's the basket. And again, you're just going to have them do this for a couple minutes, roll the shot back and forth from their palm to the basket. You can share with another athlete. Maybe you got to wipe it down with some hand sanitizer or whatever, some Clorox wipes. Give it to the other athlete, and then the other athlete's going to do the same thing. All right, so that's pretty simple. We're off to a good start, okay? But now let's talk about the basket shake. Because once they have it in their hand, what you want to do is have them shake the hand. And you notice with a 4 kilo or a 12-pound shot, they start shaking that baby in their hand, it's going to start to wobble and go over the place. They're going to have to open their fingers up a little bit. They're going to have to cradle it a little bit when it's in that basket. And if they're not using their thumb, like I'm not using my thumb right here, when they start shaking this thing around, they're going to notice exactly how it fits. They're going to know exactly how far to open up their fingers. Is too close, not good. Is too wide, not good. You want to make sure all 4 fingers are underneath. So for me, and for most athletes, it's a nice medium grip. So that is the basket shake. And again, you're going to have them do it 2 or 3 minutes, nothing too crazy, couple minutes. And from there, we're going to move on to the next one, which is using the thumb. So now we're going to do the basket shake, and we're going to put the thumb up against the side. So now when they shake, they should notice it's not rolling around like crazy anymore. Now that thumb is helping to control what's going on. So we'll show you here. The thumb is on the side of the shot, all 4 fingers underneath the shot, and now when they shake without the thumb, the thing's rolling all over the place. It's going to fall out of their hand. With the thumb, much better control. So again, couple of minutes just taking them through this. At this point, they've been doing this, 5, 6 minutes or whatever it's been, but now they're starting to realize, hey, I got some control. I'm holding it correctly. It's in the basket with the thumb, very controlled, and now we're ready to move on to the next step. Now the next step is going to be a waiter's walk. What's a waiter's walk? Again, pretty simple stuff, but all we're going to do is we're going to hold that shot in the basket, all 4 fingers underneath it, thumb on the side. We're going to have them shake it, make sure it's in there nice and safe and secure. We're going to press it overhead just like this. I'm going to take a walk. So we're going to walk around the gym with me here. I'm going to take a walk, arm outstretched, completely nice and tall, super outstretched arm. We don't want there to be any bend in the elbow. We want bending their hand and their wrist back. If you can see that here, the hand and the wrist is bent back. They're not holding it like this. They've got it in that basket still. And what this is going to do is it's going to teach them that it's okay to do this. It's okay, it's safe, it's secure if it's in that basket. Okay? If it's not in the basket and it's here, you got those kids that kind of eagle claw the shot and they try to shove it. Now they're going to be able to hold it in the basket, nice and safe, nice and secure, walk around with it. And I have them do laps around, the field goal post. I have them do laps around the discus cage to make the discus throwers nice and mad when we're at camps. We walk around, we do crazy stuff like this. And then after about 2 or 3 minutes of walking around, now they have a really good sense of what a nice, secure shot feels like when it's in their hand. Okay, next one, we're actually going to push and flick the shots into the ground. Now they can actually start to release the shot and kind of get some movement going, get that kind of urge to throw something out of their brains. So, going to put the shot in the hand. We're going to be in the basket with the thumb on the side, just like this, just like we showed you. Then we're going to do is we're going to get a nice athletic position, bend the knees a little bit, get the feet open. We're going to then turn it upside down so all 4 fingers are on top of the ball. We don't want the 4 fingers to be on the side or to be over like this. And all we're going to do is we're going to pick the shot up a little bit. We're going to push and shove the shot down into the ground and flick our fingers. As a right-handed thrower, my fingers are going to flick to the right. Lefties will flick to the left. So it looks like this. We're going to have that shot in the hand just like this. We're going to put all 4 fingers on top. We're going to lift it up. We're going to push and flick. Just like that. Push and flick, and the hand is pointed out to the right. They're going to pick it up. Push and flick. Push and flick. Push and flick. Push and flick. Now what does this do? This gets them used to actually flicking the ball. When they release that ball, when they take a throw, their hands are going to be up and they're going to flick out to the side. So this is how you start to kind of ingrain that in their heads. Now, how many of these we're going to do? Depends on how much time you have. 15, 20, 30 or so per athlete. Have them switch. If you don't have a lot of throwing equipment, maybe 10 or 15 before they switch to their partner. If you have 5 people sharing one shot, you're going to have to move pretty quickly, but it's a great way to get them to push and flick and get in that habit of flicking that hand out to the right. Okay, after the push and flick, we're going to be doing the line drill balance. Now, what is a line drill balance? Well, this is where you're going to need your line, and conveniently enough, with COVID being what it is and having to keep a lot of distance between all of my athletes, we've got these tape boxes on the ground. So I now have plenty of lines to work with. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to teach our athletes without the shot in their hand. We're going to try to teach them what it means to stay on that center line. So this line right here represents the back of the circle cutting all the way down to the middle of the toe board. So basically 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 0 to 180, north to south, however you say it, that's what this is going to represent. And from this point on, I'm going to be setting up like I'm throwing over your head, like I'm trying to push the shot over your head or over the camera. So you're looking into the circle from the sector. So here's what we do. The line balance, very simple. We want that line to go directly through the middle of their feet. Then we're going to have them step straight back, and we're going to have them balance. We want their weight right in between their feet. We don't want there to be any shifting or any wobbling or anything like that. And we want to make sure that both of their feet are totally straight, so they can look down at their feet and go, okay, that's pretty good. What you're going to see is that some athletes, this back foot's going to twist out a little bit. We want to make sure they're nice and straight. This right foot might turn out a little bit to help balance, but we want it nice and straight. And we want it right on the line. Now, why is this important? You see, I almost lost my balance right there. Whoa, why is this important? Nice straight legs, everything nice and tall. When they get in the circle, we know as coaches that we want a good heel-toe position or a instep toe position. Well, check out what happens if I pivot on my toes. It looks kind of like a heel-toe position. When they finish their throw, you want both of their feet and their hips completely forward down the middle of that throwing sector. So that's what this teaches them. It teaches them to get their hips down the middle, get both feet pointed down the middle so that they can finish down the middle. Gets them on that line. That way they're not all crooked with their hips pointing one way. This foot's not crooked, they're not off balance, their shoulders aren't level. We want to see nice, straight, both feet on the same line. All right, now we're going to hold this line drill for about 1 to 2 minutes just to get them used to it, and then we're going to do the Frankenstein drill. Now, what the heck is a Frankenstein drill? We've all seen the movie. Frankenstein's monster walks around kind of chasing after people with the hands out. That's sort of that classic parodied Frankenstein going after somebody. But what we want to do with the Frankenstein drill is basically we want to make sure that we get their athletes up here, shot up against their neck. Remember, all 4 fingers will be behind the shot. Again, we have videos on this, which I'll link up in the corner. But all 4 fingers behind the ball. We want the feet nice and straight on the line. And again, they can look down. They can make sure, hey, everything's on the line, no big deal. We want to see that non-throwing arm out in front of them, just like Frankenstein chasing after villagers. Okay, so nice balance in between the feet. Our weight is in between the feet. I'm not on the back leg. I'm not on the front leg. We're in this position, and now we're holding just like Frankenstein. And again, we're going to hold anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes per athlete. If you have to share equipment, it might be a little bit shorter, but ideally speaking, 2 to 3 minutes per athlete. They're going to get that idea of balance. They're going to get that idea of having the non-throwing arm out with their fingers behind the ball up against their neck, just like they're going to release. And now it looks like they're actually about to finish that standing throw with a good position. Okay, and after the Frankenstein drill, we have the push and flick. This is very simple. All we're going to do is have the athletes in that Frankenstein drill, and then they're going to push and flick the ball. Now, what's going to be tempting for your athletes is that they're going to want to put a lot of body English. They're going to want to try to crush this thing and kill this thing and just try to use their body and turn their body and pull that left arm in and twist their feet and extend their legs and bounce. They're going to want to try to show off and throw as far as possible. You're not going to allow that to happen. So you want to make sure we get in that line drill position. Start with their feet on the line. We're going to step back right to here. Then we're going to put the shot up against the neck, Frankenstein drill, and then all we're going to do is we're just going to push and flick. We're not gonna pull the arm in. We're not gonna twist the shoulders. We're not gonna lean back and throw. We're gonna stay nice and square to the target, which is the camera right now. Hopefully I don't hit it. And we're going to work on pushing and flicking. Just like you pushed and flicked into the ground, we're gonna push and flick out to the side. So here's what it looks like. Push and flick. Arm only, push and flick. There it is. Push, flick, everything goes out to the side. Now the best way to do this is to have them with a partner. That way the partner is maybe 15, 20 feet away. They push and flick back and forth to each other. It saves a lot of time, and we're looking for about 10 to 15 push and flick per person. All right, after push and flick, we have pull, push, and flick. Now we're gonna start to use that non-throwing arm, that blocking arm, and put that into the drill. So pull, push, and flick starts the same way. Feet on a line. Athlete steps straight back so that both feet are on the line, kind of like a balance beam or like a tight rope. We're gonna put the shot up against their neck. Okay, good balance, Frankenstein drill. And now instead of just pushing and flicking with the right, we're going to pull this non-throwing arm, the blocking arm, in and down. Now what I'm looking for is I don't want to see straight down like this, like your elbows toward the ground. And I don't want to see out here any crazy stuff. I want you to think almost like a push-up or like bench press. Okay, push-up or bench press, you're right around here. You're pulling the chest forward. You've got your arms in. They're not all the way down. Close grip push-ups are hard. You're not all the way up here because, again, there's no power in that position. Try doing a push-up like that. Push-ups are going to be right around a 45-degree angle with the elbows. And that's where I want your athletes to pull. Right here, right around 45 degrees. So not in with the elbow down and not up. Right here, and you can have them start to pull and they'll feel that right arm or that throwing arm start moving. So that's what we want them to do. We want them to use that non-throwing arm, pull, push, flick. So here's what it looks like. Feet together, step straight back. Whoa, losing my balance. Step straight back. Good. Frankenstein drill, shot up against the neck. Now remember, we're going to be right here, 45-degree angle. Pull, push, and flick. Not all together, two separate parts. Looks like this. Pull, push, and flick. That's what we're looking for. So we don't want to see everything together. We don't want to see them using the legs or shifting weight. Two movements. Pull, push, and flick. Okay, end of the first day. Last but not least, you've been outside for about an hour and a half at this point. We're going to be doing shift, pull, push, and flick. Now, what is shift, pull, push, and flick? One of the toughest things to teach an athlete is how to actually shift their body weight forward. Get their body over the toe board, attack that toe board, get those hips forward, and then throw. A lot of times they sit back and use the arm, but they don't ever get their body to push into the throw. This is where you start to teach it the very first day. Create that good habit. So what you're going to do, very similar to what we were just doing, okay? All of these drills build off of each other. So we're going to step back, line drill. Okay, then we're going to go Frankenstein drill, and now it's a three-parter. Shift, pull, push, and flick. So the shift happens when you push off of the back foot. You start to push from the back foot to the front foot. Now all of your weight has shifted to that front foot. So you're going to push all of your weight onto that front foot, pull, push, and flick. So it's a shift, pull, push, and flick. So here's what it looks like. Again, 10 to 15 per athlete. They're going to get about 45 throws or so throughout the course of the entire day of practice. 45 releases. That's not including all the pushes and flicks into the ground. So here's what we do. Line drill. Okay. Weight is in between their feet. We're not on their back leg. We're not on the front leg. Nice 50-50 distribution of weight. We're going to put the shot up against the neck. Frankenstein drill. Okay, now remember, shift, pull, push, and flick. Check it out. Shift, pull, push, and flick. 1, 2, 3. Don't start putting it together yet. Don't start mushing all of those ingredients together. Have your athletes just do it step by step by step so they realize that there are different parts to the throw.